tomorrow around 13 or 14 Celsius. Then over the weekend we've got some sunshine around on Saturday, and also 1 or 2 short showers, which is though Sunday's going to be a fine day. Slowly but surely into next week, as temperatures gradually pick up. Enjoy your evening.
Thompson sponsors ITV Yorkshire weather.
The problem of the Straw Dogs scene is the same now as it ever was. It's a scene which has a very great philosophical problem, which is that if you read it one way, you can say that it says no means yes.
I think it's maybe even more problematic now than it would have been in 1971. Nevertheless, it was really pushing buttons in 1971, but was passed with minimal cuts.
It was released to this howl of public outrage, which actually wasn't to do with individual shots, was to do with the whole tenor of the movie.
One of the main critics at that time was Alexander Walker of the Evening Standard, and he very much disliked the film.
After this, anything goes. What the film censor has permitted on the screen in Straw Dogs makes one wonder whether he has any further useful role to play in the cinema industry.
I think a big moment of crisis comes for the censors in the 70s, when you get films like Straw Dogs and like Death Wish, that are films that ask for the privileges of liberal art, but are not liberal art themselves. You know, they are films that are against the idea of liberalism. They don't profess liberal opinions, and yet to exist at all, they require the existence of the liberal society, which they seem to be also at war with.
Goddamn rich cunt! Like you rich cunt! Mother's getting the shit kicked out of her.
The rape scene in Deadwood is comparatively mild. I mean, I don't know, I can't remember now the shambolic stupidity letters that I sent and they sent.
Dear Stephen, as you know, the picture has had great critical and public acclaim in America. I am hopeful, and I believe realistically so, that we can have this receiver certificate in this country without any to-do. Yours sincerely, Michael Winner.
We saw Death Wish on Friday. I think, as it stands, the rape scene is likely to be very offensive to some British audiences, not only on account of its visual content, but on account of some of the language used.
Page 18, scene 37. Honestly, we cannot have language like this.
I mean, he was crazy, this idiot. Crazy.
Dear Stephen, I'm genuinely surprised, though why I do not know, that you take exception to any of the rape scene. I'm still hopeful that this picture can be released without being savaged by you.
And without a public fracas. It's always good to threaten with the television of public fracas. You know, I'm good at public fracas. I'm better than they. Let us hope that our meeting will permit this. Obviously, we had a meeting.
Dear Michael, personal accusations and hints of a public fracas are not likely to help us reach a positive solution.
A positive solution? Well, the answer is they did help us. And the final paragraph is better from this idiot.
In two respects, the aerosol and repeated use of the word cunt, this sequence goes further than anything we have seen. You may find it illogical that a society can accept 8 or 9 shootings and still object to a word of dialogue, but it does.
Well, society does not. Murphy does. I mean, when are you talking about society? He doesn't represent society. He's some individual moron who happened to get a job, but he didn't stand on any of this. He collapsed on all of it.
Task X. All cuts waived.
Page 22, scene 36. This shooting, as it stands, is far too gruesome.
In a way, in histories of censorship, Stephen Murphy is rather unfairly treated, I think. Because he's been rather sort of dumped on, I think, partly because he was the right person at the wrong time, and partly because all these films came out and things happened to them which weren't really in his control.
An open letter to the Times. Sir, we wish to draw attention to the now serious and growing inconsistencies of film censorship.
And it was very, very unfortunate for Stephen, who was a very nice man, but I'm afraid it all proved rather too much for him.
Mr. Murphy is the present censor. Are you calling for his resignation?
I don't think that he is necessarily the man to be the final arbiter. I think he would be better employed maybe on a panel or as an examiner, but not as the final arbiter for the job. For that I think he's the wrong man.
Due to this extreme pressure on Stephen, and he told me that his family even received obscene phone calls. This was really proving too much for him, and I don't think that when he did retire from the board, he was at all sorry to go.
Libby, thank you.
So there are just 3.5